What's up, otakus? It's your tour guide here. I'm going live. um, I'm going live because I just got in the mail today a package from Craven Hunt's Comics. Go check him out at Craven Hunt's Comics on Instagram. He sells a bunch of stuff. I've done trades with him before. The guy is a good community member. And I'm really excited about opening this up because it's kind of a comic that I've been wanting for some time. It's not in the best grade, so I think we paid around we paid a fair amount for the grade it's in, and for what it is. So it's not like I got a great deal, but at the same time, it's a book. I think at that price, I didn't mind paying for it. And I don't see this book come up all that often. I mean, I know it's a pretty common book. I can go out and get it, but I felt like for the grade and for the price, it was worth it. So we're going to open that at the very end. Just to go over what's been going on, as you know, I finally got my tickets to Emerald City Comic Con. So we'll be going to ECCC on the 5th. And we're going to meet John Boy Myers and also just reach out to a bunch of artists and creators at the con. So Namyeon Hyung and I are planning to go together with Agu from the community and possibly some more people who live in this region. And yeah, it's just going to be an exciting time. We're planning on doing sort of a whole kind of like everything we see at the con, just kind of putting it all together and doing a really sort of interview focused show. I'm going to talk to a lot of people at the con and get their perspective and just connect with fans, with artists, with local sellers, community members. It's going to be a good time. I am also hoping to pick up some big books. I have a $300 budget, which I'll be taking at the con. And it remains to be seen. I did have some intentions to use that budget on a few big books, which I outlined in the previous video. But the more and more I think about it, if we're going to be, we're going to have to look at what artists are charging, but we're going to try to get some signed books, maybe even some commissioned sketches, maybe some original art. We'll just have to see what we can pick up. So I'm just kind of taking that money, that $300, with an open mind. And I'm not going to try to overthink what I want to get too much, but just kind of use my Unmyeong philosophy to be like, okay, if I see something at the con I like and it's at a price I like, we'll try to pick it up. Having said that, I will be looking for some of the items I outlined in the previous videos. So just everything depends on what things are selling for, and again, the artists I engage with and the kinds of stuff. Now, I do want to pick up a sketch cover from John Boy, and I mentioned what I want in that sketch cover. It's essentially Darth Vader and Boba Fett on the same cover, with Darth Vader pointing his finger at Boba Fett, just like in the movie, no disintegrations. I want to capture that scene on a sketch cover. And I hope, I know John Boy, if I give him that idea or send him that idea prior to the con, I know he's going to be stoked to do it. At least I hope he is, because I just know how, just what an amazing job he does on in terms of sketching Darth Vader and Boba Fett. So just having, I think, an opportunity to do that scene would probably get him excited, but we'll just have to see. But really looking forward to that. The other thing I'm looking forward to is next week I'm going to be on Gary Vee and Rob Fat Stacks' corner, the 1011. And Nick from Comic Culture was just on. It was a great, go check it out. The videos, they went live last night. They went live last night. I checked it out. It was a great feature. He featured some really nice books, and that's what I love about that whole feature. It's like just collectors coming on and showing off books and the stories around those books. So I'm having a little bit of trouble whittling down all my comics to 10, but I think I have a pretty good idea. Hey, Naman, how you doing? I think I have a better idea of what I want to feature on that corner. So hopefully I get the 12 books ready, 10-1-1. It's 10 books plus 1 plus 1, so 12 books total. I think I'm getting closer to finalizing that list of books. All right, good night, Young. I still need to talk to you about a lot of stuff. So at some point, hopefully, maybe this weekend when we go on and interview K-pop, we'll have that opportunity. But yeah, head to bed. Good night. I know you've been busy with the comic book content, so and drawing, and so yeah, get some rest. We'll talk soon. So yeah, that's coming up next week. Again, I'm going to be the featured collector on 1011 on Gary's channel, and so please check that out. Next Tuesday, we're going to go live at I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern. And again, I'll get those books ready, hopefully by that time. All right, so you're here for the comic haul. This is my first comic haul of 2023, and all of these books I picked up in the new year. So in the past, I want to say, all these big books I picked up in the new year. So I want to say it's only been 2 weeks. We're only 2 weeks into the new year, and it's hard to believe that I picked up this nice stack of books already in the first, not even 2 weeks of the year. So excited to share these with you. There are some pretty big books in this pile, and we spent $35, which is over my budget for the month, but that's okay because what ended up happening was, again, my wife, I explained in a previous video, but my wife gave me a sizable, amount of budget to spend at Emerald City Comic Con. So we kind of got a lump sum because I will not be traveling to Japan. And so the money we save on me not going, that's kind of being diverted to me being able to, since they won't, my family's not going to be here for a few months. I'm going to be just very sort of bored and just be working me by myself, cooking and doing all these things for myself. So comics are a nice it's a nice diversion from my family being away. And I had I gotta say, when it's nice to just be able to like go and hunt for comics during that time. So I got a sizable budget, 300 of which I've devoted to Comic Con. I'm just putting that aside, and then we got about 100 or so, big close to 200 left over for, again, that period where I'm just not going to have much to do except work and picking up books. So um, it'll be it's good and bad in a lot of ways, because while we have money, it's got to last me until, so $500 has to last me through whatever, through the summer pretty much, because my wife will be gone from like June to August. So that's really sort of the time, that 3 month period. I don't think $200 will last very long after a few trips, but that's the thing. Like, we got to just have fun, keep that budget intact for as long as possible. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. Anyway, let's get to the haul. So again, $35 on 12 books. And we got some big books, and of course the unboxing at the very end. We'll start with not a lot of Jim Lee pickups in this haul. In fact, we only have one Jim Lee book out of the 12, and we'll start off with the Jim Lee book. It's a book I got for 25 cents. I haven't even bothered to take the sticker off yet. Still on there. And this is a Jim Lee cover of Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. It's a sort of a preview, free Halloween comic. What's cool is it's Jim Lee cover of Scooby-Doo reading Future Quest. This is what's his face, Captain. Oh, I forget his name. It's gonna bug me. Anyway, that guy from the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. So that was just a cool. This was a cover by 25 cents, Jim Lee cover. Why not? I do like Scooby-Doo. I grew up watching Scooby-Doo like most people. So yeah, that's just it. And like Jim Lee did, I think, the first couple of books on this Scooby-Doo Apocalypse run, and they're great covers. I hear the story's really good and all that, but it's like, now that I have this sort of free book, in terms of his work on the book, it's not like I'm itching to get more of these Scooby-Doo Apocalypse books. I mean, if they come my way for cheap, I'll pick them up. But this kind of scratches that itch. So happy to have this as like the only Jim Lee Scooby-Doo Apocalypse in my collection. I'm sure at some point maybe I'll pick up more, but for now, there's so much other stuff I need to pick up. It's like I don't want to, I don't have to devote time and efforts on picking this one up. So that is our first book. Paid a quarter for that. This next one we paid 50 cents for, and it's an early Adam Hughes cover and also interior, and that's Justice League America number 31. It's the Geffen de Mateus, and Adam Hughes did the art, the cover, and the interior. This is also, I think, a key issue because it's the first appearance of the female Dr. Fate. And, right now there's a lot of everything right now, if you're buying DC books, everything sort of qualifies as speculation book. So whatever DC key you pick up is potentially, could turn into a potentially big hit. So, I picked up this one. I think in my last haul video, I picked up this one as well. So these are just kind of books that I'm getting them really cheap. I'm getting them like this one, 50 cents. I'm getting them for under $1. And if they pan out, fine. If they don't, they're still books I don't mind having in the collection. This next one I actually got for free. And it's because, again, it's hit or miss at the half price books, depending on the cashier who checks you out. You bring up a free, no price sort of book. Some of them will price them at $0.25, some of them will price them at $1. And some will just give it to you for free if you're buying something else. And that's what happened this time around. This is sort of a reprint of Marvel Comics #1. I think it's a 75th anniversary of Marvel Comics. So they kind of, it's a facsimile. The cover is a different cover though. It's a more modern take on the cover, but it's a free comic. It was, one of those Halloween, again, another Halloween Fest book. But it's a pretty, in terms of the interior, they took all the ads out, but the interior is pretty consistent with the original, has the original artwork. So you're looking at this book, we're talking about Jelena Djurjevic did this cover, but we're talking about Carlos Burgos as the original penciler and writer on the Human Torch stories. Not sure who I think he also did the Submariner story in here. But there's a series of like 4 stories, all featuring again, very early Marvel Comics. The first Marvel Comics book. That eventually became Marvel. So it's a Golden Age book. I actually would have liked it better had they kept the original Golden Age art. And not that the Golden Age art was that great. It wasn't, it's not like a cover or piece that you go, wow, that looks amazing. It's just so significant. That book is such a big grail that, just having like a facsimile copy. I mean, this is essentially a facsimile, but the cover art is different. And I can't say I particularly love this sort of, modern version of the cover. It does look kind of cool, but, I think having that original art from the original book would have made this copy a little bit better to look at. So yeah, I got that up for free. This next book we paid 75 cents for, and that is the reprinting of Watchmen #1. I was actually really pleased to pick this book up because first of all, I love the Watchmen. It was such a groundbreaking graphic novel when it first came out. It really over my head. I was reading it, back in like high school, I mean, I could follow the story, but in terms of its like um, sort of larger thematic political messaging and yeah, just all the, what each character represented and its commentary on like American history and all that. It was just like a lot to, and it was a very prose heavy book. It was a lot. There was a lot of reading involved. It's not like one of those books it's not like your typical comic book that you just read the word bubbles and whatnot. There's a lot of like, there's letters, there's just all kinds of stuff in that book. So I think at a very young age reading that, it was a bit overwhelming and difficult to grasp. Of course, I've gone back and read the book later as an adult, and you kind of like, oh, okay, I see what he's trying. You understand a little better, but it's still, it's still a very complex series of characters and motivations and very like gripping drama. So absolute must read and classic book. I would like to pick up Watchmen #1, the original, but until we do, this is a nice placeholder for that, which is the second print, the representing of the first issue of groundbreaking series. And I actually like this cover better than the original #1 has the smiley face button with the blood splatter on it, which is cool. But this is a pretty nice cover. It's sort of like a yellow black of Rorschach leaving an alley with the writing, who watches the Watchmen. And I thought this was a pretty nice Dave Gibbons cover. Nice alternative to the original. I think you don't go wrong either way. This cover's nice and the original cover's nice too, but I just like the feel of this yellow black cover. It just has a different like it just feels more Watchmen like. Now having the button in a yellow black cover with the blood splatter, just the red splatter there, that would also be a really nice effect. But I don't think such a book exists. All right. So we haven't gotten to like the big spending yet, but we're getting to some of the bigger books now. This next one was sort of a very random find. And it's not necessarily a book. I enjoyed the movie. It is very 90s nostalgia. And, I'm sort of like, the more and more I am in this space as a comic book collector, the more and more I realize like how nostalgic I am for that era I was collecting. I was collecting in the late 80s, well, mid to late 80s to, 97. So mid 90s as well. Maybe late 90s. But for me, when I was in college, which was like, so high school to college, which is when I was really getting a lot of books because I had more of a budget. I was, I had a part-time job. I had money, some disposable income to spend on comic books. And I was picking up, like a lot of people do now, having like a pull list or just, things you bought. I didn't have a pull list per se, but I would look and see what books are coming out. And I targeted a lot of #1s because I had that sort of like mentality that these things would be, have more collectability and be bigger books later down the road. Not the case at all. all the books that I got in the 90s, I would say none of them are actually valuable, except maybe Spawn #1, Angela #1, or Spawn #9, First Angela. That's about it in terms of value. Yeah, there's just not a lot there. Now, some of the wall books I got have a lot of value, and luckily we were picking up wall books too. But in terms of what I was getting at the time, that things that were coming out, those weren't worth a lot. But it made me realize that this, in the space that I'm in, I do love the 90s and collecting 90s content. So we were able to pick up this Mayhem #1, and this is not the first appearance of the mask, but I believe the second appearance and the first cover appearance. And you can see it's just a very different depiction of what we know from the movies, the Jim Carrey version. This is sort of a more, just a more sort of grittier and violent version of that character. So at first, when I saw this book, I was like, I didn't even associate that this was a Jim Carrey mask, but I saw that it was like a #1 issue. It looked to be like an older book, so I did kind of look it up and found that, oh yeah, it's a key issue. This is sort of like, I guess, the first real comic book of the mask. And so, yeah, picked it up for $1.25. It books at well over that. So this one is available for sale or trade if you guys want it. But yeah, nice sort of addition to the collection. Cameron Diaz in that movie was smoking. I think that's what Jim Carrey says, right? She was smoking in that movie. So it was a fun movie that we enjoyed, and a little bit of nostalgia taking me back to that time, that wonderful decade of the 90s. The next book we picked up was just a cover by, and as you know, I do believe we're going to see Peter Parker in the black suit in the MCU. I'm speculating on that. I just think all indications point to that happening. So, and I pretty much started collecting when that black suit, came out. I remember that comic book coming out, and then Secret Wars coming out, and just black suit being part of that Spidey, part of the Marvel story, just being part of the Spider-Man narrative for so long. Pretty much when I started collecting up through, when Venom was introduced, right? So you just had a series of years where black suit was everybody's, understanding and reality of that title. And then Venom came along, and they decoupled. The black suit and Peter Parker decoupled. And Spider-Man went back to the original costume, the red and blue, which is great. But I guess for a time in uh, for a time being in 2007, Peter Parker gets back in black. This is a Ron Gurney cover, and it's a beautiful cover. I love it. But I really like this sort of side here in the back in black. And there are just so many great black suit covers. I am a sucker for the black suit cover. And I think I've spoken on the channel before. There's really only like a 6-7 year window where the black suit was just like prolific on covers and throughout books, and then it goes away, and then it makes its way back in 2007. But if you wanted, you could probably collect all the black suit books. It's just it's a big 6 years of comics is a lot of comics, but you're limited to what the Spider-Man titles and maybe every other guest performance or guest appearance where he's popping up on the black suit on the cover. So I thought that would be like an easy lift, but the more I looked and found books, I was like, no, this is going to be a very heavy lift. So we stopped doing that. But I will pick up black suit covers that just are nice to look at and cool pieces of art. So that I just couldn't resist. I had to when I saw this cover, I was like, okay, let's pick it up. This is the return of the black suit. And they have it, I guess, that return as a key moment. So obviously the collecting community thinks that it's significant. All right. So up to now, so what did we pay for this? We paid, again, I paid $1.25 for this one and $1.50 for this one. So we haven't spent a lot on books so far in what I've shown. But these next couple of books I did pay up a little bit for them. But I still think when you hear what I paid, you're going to be like, oh, wow, you got a really good deal on them. And we'll start here with Amazing Spider-Man 308. This is just a classic Todd McFarlane cover. And I think he has, these are really cool. He has like 308. The issue number written out there. Just cool McFarlane art. That's a cool McFarlane cover. So this one was $3. They had it priced out at $3. And I was like, yeah, that's for McFarlane ASM. His run on the ASM is just really just memorable because it was such, these were coming out twice a month at eventually because they were just so popular. But yeah, all these covers are just memorable. All these books are like key. Most of the books in his run are key books. He's just such a popular artist, and that's something, not that I'm not the biggest McFarlane fan, but being in that period of collecting, he was one of the biggest figures in comic books. So that's something you just can't deny. And of course, we were picking up Amazing Spider-Man, picking up Spider-Man eventually when it came out, and all the Spawn books. So he's definitely somebody I collected and followed. Now, so yeah, that's a cool cover. We also picked up 311. This was also $3. Great Mysterio cover there by McFarlane. So $3 for McFarlane covers, and these are high grade books. So I was very happy to pick these up. Definitely, these are these definitely command higher value. So I felt like I got a good deal on these 2 copies. But didn't stop there. We picked up ASM 312 as well, and I love this Green Goblin versus the Hobgoblin cover. Probably one of the best McFarlane covers in his run on ASM. One of the best, not the best. Probably his most iconic and famous is 300. But this is up there, and of course, the Venom cover. But this, I would say, is up there as well. This is a real clean copy. This is something we could get graded. Actually, it's that nice. I think it'd come back in the 9s for sure with a press. Pretty clean copy. So pick this up for $3 again. So those 2 previous were nice pickups. This one for $3 is really nice. So happy to get that. So yeah, we're starting the year off with some really sort of targeted books that I really like for my collection. So I was so focused on Jim Lee, and I still am. I'm still focused on Jim Lee, but I think if we can pick up like Silvestri and McFarlane books, we're good. That's kind of like, I don't mind having these because they're all just reminders of what I was into and what I was collecting back in the day. All right, so those books were nice. As I was checking out some of these books at Half Price Books, one of the guys behind the counter was actually pricing books to put out. And he wasn't, so normally what they do is like, if they're really on top of things, they'll look up some of the values and price them based on the values. But this guy, for whatever reason, saw that I was buying books, and he said, hey, I'm pricing some books. If you're interested, there's some more Spider-Man and stuff in here. And I was like, yeah, I'll take a look. And I pulled out 2 that I were like, okay, what are you charging for these? And looked at the condition. Now, the condition of these 2 books that I'm about to show, the condition is really low grade. I mean, we're talking probably in the 1s, definitely under 2. I mean, yeah, I would say they're in the 1s, right? They're in the 1s for sure. Maybe 1 would be in the 2 to 3 range. But that's even a stretch. I mean, one of them presents a little better than the other. But anyway, they're low grade copies. Okay, they're very low grade. So had they been priced a little higher, I probably wouldn't have gotten them. But he quoted $3 on one and $1.50 on another. And at those prices, I was like, what, $4.50 for these 2 big books? Deal. And I kind of like felt I was taking advantage of the guy because I don't think he understood the value. He just knew that, even if these were some valuable books because of the age, because of the condition, he just felt like he couldn't really quote anything higher. So he said like 3, and I'll give you this one for $1.50. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So let's start with the $3 book first. And that is Amazing Spider-Man 149. This is the first appearance of Ben Reilly, the Spider clone. And so we haven't seen Ben Reilly, but all indications are that he's going to be introduced at some point. I'm not sure when, but he's such a big part of he's such a big part of the 90s. And so this is an older book, though. This is a Bronze Age book. So his introduction did come a lot earlier, but of course, they really fleshed him out in the 90s. And anyway, this is just a key first appearance book. Now, as you'll see from the cover, there are a lot of issues with this book. The main one being there's just this, like, I don't know what it is. It's just faded, like somebody poured or erased it or did something. It's just like a smear. Like the ink was fresh and just somebody wiped it with Kleenex. That's what it looks like. And for the life of me, I don't know what caused that, because it's not water damage. It's just this like rubbing that faded the book in this area here where the villain is. Now the Spider-Mans are they're okay. It's just this section here in, again, the title and the villain. It's like somebody just, like, rubbed it with some kind of like rubbing alcohol or something that would smear it. Something that would make the ink smear. But again, it's not a stain, or there aren't stains or anything. So it wasn't like a solution that did it. So I'm just perplexed as to what could cause that. Yeah, it's just really unsightly, but it's a complete book. And the other parts of the book are, I mean, if this part here didn't have that fading, just like the other parts of the book, it would still be a low grade book, but it would be probably in the 4s, probably a 4. But because of that unsightly smearing or whatever, I think would drop this to like a 1, in the 1s, maybe a 1.5 or something like that. But the interior of the book looks nice. Again, there aren't like rips or anything. The cover is still intact, barely intact. So yeah, I don't think in this grade it's necessarily going to command a lot of resale value or whatever, but it is a key book. It is Gil Kane. It's a big first appearance, so I am happy, even in low grade, to add this to the collection. And yeah, it's always cool when you have two Spider-Men, two clones fighting each other. So yeah, pick that up for $3. Now this next one is the sort of the doozy that we picked up for $1.50, and it is low grade. I will give you that, but it actually doesn't present so bad, and that is the Incredible Hulk 271, first appearance of Rocket Raccoon. Or sorry, not the first appearance. Second appearance, the first cover appearance of Rocket Raccoon. And this is a pretty big book in terms of value. And again, it doesn't look so bad. It presents pretty well. But when you start taking a closer look, you see chipping there at the bottom, which is not good. You see like creases, and the real big thing is somebody taped. There's a tear, and somebody taped the cover. So we're not going to take that off. We're going to just leave the tape. It's clear tape,
So it doesn't, I mean, you can't really see it when you're looking from afar, but the closer you get, you notice, oh, somebody just scotch taped cover there. They did a really good taping job though. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's like, they like that cut off that edge nice and clean, and it is just one, sorry, it's like two pieces of tape there, like in a cross section there. Not so bad. And again, it doesn't detract from the book itself. And the cover's decent. It's hanging on by a thread, but the cover, I think there's one detached staple on this cover. So with all those factors, it's probably like a 2, maybe less. These are both in pretty ratty condition, but again, $1.50 and $3 for really 2 Bronze Age keys, real big Bronze Age key books. I think this one has the potential to really be a big book, because again, if we see Ben Reilly at some point in the movies, that'll be a pretty big event. All right, so let's get to the book I got just earlier today in the mail. This is something I got off Instagram, and it was sort of an impulse buy. Again, when I heard the price, I looked at the photos and I was like, well, I know I'm probably not getting the best value. I'm probably getting what this book is. I'm not getting a deal is what I'm trying to say. I'm pretty much paying what it's valued at in terms of the grade. This grade, based off my observation of the book, I would put it at a 5.0. Now, when I look at it, I'll be able to better assess maybe what the grade is, but just based off photos and in my discussion with the seller, he mentioned it would be mid-grade, and I agreed with him, and we agreed to a price which I thought was, fair. I think that I pretty much paid what this book is valued at. It might be worth a little bit more, but it's not going to be worth a lot more, because it's not high grade. This is definitely a mid-grade copy. So we're talking anywhere from 4 to 6 in terms of the grade. But it's a book that. So let me backtrack. I'm sort of, I guess you could say I'm like speculating on Dr. Doom a little bit. But that speculation is turning more and more into sort of an appreciation of the character, Dr. Doom. Because if I were to ask you, okay, name a villain, name Marvel Comics' top villain. If I were to ask you that question, I think most of you would land on Dr. Doom as well. If you just really think about, I know a lot of you youngsters are going to say, Thanos or somebody, some like cosmic villain, which is fair. I mean, that's the era you grew up in. But if you're really looking at the legacy, the progression, the history of Marvel Comics, Dr. Doom is really, it's a no-brainer. It is Dr. Doom. And the reason I say that is because He was the main villain in Fantastic Four. He's also was a main villain in pretty much every single Marvel book. I mean, he was like made an appearance everywhere. Thor, Iron Man, X-Men, and you name it. Doctor Doom has been a part of it. Submariner. I mean, Hulk. The list goes on and on. And then, of course, Secret Wars. You get to Secret Wars, and he's the big baddie in that one as well. He's sort of the main, the guy who outsmarts everybody in Secret Wars. So, just, I don't know, it kind of makes sense. And I know Doctor Doom's been introduced in these like really bad, pathetic, Fantastic Four movies. That's really been it. Just these bad versions of Doctor Doom. So what I'm sort of banking on is Doctor Doom is going to make a huge impact as the big baddie in this later phase of the MCU as that we're in. Now, aside from that, the fact that whether he appears as the big baddie in Secret Wars or not, aside from that fact, aside from that speculation, Doctor Doom is just, he's as big as Spider-Man. He's as big as any Marvel character. And so for the ones who are lucky to have his first appearance, his first cover appearance, is whatever, those are big books. I don't think we'll ever get those. But I think what people can do, they can pick up classic Doom covers. And that's what we're seeing. There's that, Stan Lee's brother, right? Leibovitz, what's his name? I'm forgetting. I think it's like there's Stan Lee and then there's Larry Leibovitz. Larry Leibovitz did a Doom cover that is just a really classic cover, and that got a lot, that shot up, and that's, I think, really high valued book. But I saw this cover and I was just like, man, this is such a classic cover. I'm sure at some point, I mean, it is a big book in terms of like if you have it in high grade. And yeah, this is kind of what we're expecting. It is mid grade. It's got some staining on the back, but overall, yeah. We paid $19. So $10 plus $9 shipping. He actually paid only like $3.50 for shipping. So this is essentially like a $16 book plus shipping. So we paid $19 shipped for Iron Man 150, and this is an early John Romita Jr. book from 1981. Iron Man 150, special double-sized 150 anniversary issue. That's cool. Black cover, newsstand edition. You're going to be, this is sort of a period where you're hit and miss on newsstand copies being a good grade. Again, with the black cover, white back, it's just a hard book. So I don't mind that this is mid-grade, to be honest. I love that it presents really well. It's got a few creases here. The back is, again, there's some minor staining on the back. In fact, I'm just going to take it out, give it a look, I'll show you as well. But for $19, I felt like this was a fair It's a fair acquisition for $19. He obviously did not press it, so it's something that can improve with the press. There's not tearing, but that edge does not look. It's not torn, but the edge is a little frayed. Try to keep it in focus there. Yeah, there's a little bit of edge wear. Again, the book has not been pressed. It looks really good. Again, with some cleaning and some TLC, the staples are nice and firm. And yeah, the back doesn't look. So really the issue with the back is there's in the corner, in the top area here, you're not going to see it really well, but you'll see it there. You can see right there, there's some staining there, and that can be cleaned. So I think with a good professional clean and press, I mean, this could come back. We could make a lot of improvement on this grade. So I really do feel, now that I have the book in front of me, I do feel like, $19, we got a fair deal out of this one. And again, with some TLC, a nice clean and a press, this is a book that could see some improvement in terms of its grade and presentation. So happy to pick this up. Again, some really big pickups here in the first, some nice Bronze Age pickups here in the first haul of the year. This one we spent a little bit more, $19 off of Instagram. Go check out Craven Hunt's comics. He's just a collector, he just picks up books and sells them. He's flipping them, and I think he's got his eyes on some kind of prize. But thanks to him for really doing a great job with the packaging and the transparency and answering all the questions. And again, I do not feel like, I knew I was getting a mid-grade book, and that's what we got here. And this one, actually, in all honesty, with some TLC, we could see this improve quite a bit. By improve quite a bit, meaning right now it's probably at a 5.0. But I think this has the potential to get up to like a 6.0, which is a pretty significant bump in the grade. So yeah, very, very happy with this purchase. That corner's hanging on by a thread. All right, so I guess the first real haul and pickup of the new year. My final announcement for what's coming up on the channel. Again, we're going to be interviewing K-pop Junkie this weekend, and so she's an amazing community member. I'm really looking forward to sitting down and having a nice conversation with her on her as a collector and what she's into. She's into K-pop, so that's just going to be interesting to chat. I am heading to to San Francisco to my sister's place. We're having a little family get together at her place. So my parents are coming from Korea. Now, I've mentioned many times before, there's a bunch of my stuff there, like toys, figures, comic books, manga books, magazines, various stuff at my parents' place. Because when I moved back from Korea to here, I left a lot of my junk at their place, and then came back. And so a lot of this stuff is still there. But I was able to talk to my mom last weekend, and I was kind of said, hey, can you look through my stuff and find this box of baseball cards? If you find it, I'd like you to bring it back. And they looked, and she found it. And she took a photo and said, hey, is this what you referring to? And it was my baseball cards, like my main collection. The real valuable. Well, I don't want to say the real valuable. I have a lot of the valuable ones with me, but a lot of that core value of my collection. Yeah, I'll be getting that back in about 2 weeks' time. So I'll go to San Francisco, get that. They'll bring it from Korea. So when I get that, I'll bring that back with me, and we'll do a whole, I'll just go over my card collection. So we'll do a video on, now I'm not into cards as much anymore. I think I am, more focused on comic books now. Some of the cards I will keep, but a lot of the cards, and there's a lot of valuable cards there, I won't mind trading for comic books or selling. So if you're into cards and you want to get some good value, or just if you're in the opposite situation where you want to pick up cards and you have a bunch of comic books, hit me up. Let's, first of all, watch the video, see what kind of cards that you might be interested in, and hit me up and make some offers, because I am more than willing to send you the cards if you have some of the books that I'm looking for. So either way, I'm going to be getting a lot of valuable, I guess, yeah, they're valuable. I think they've gone up. The card market has just gone up so much. I know there's a lot of value there. So yeah, look forward to that. There's a lot of things coming up. So it's just kind of an exciting time. Comic-Con's coming up. Again, I got that thing with Gary and Rob, Fat Stacks, next week, showing off some of my books. Got my family reunion. We're going to celebrate Lunar New Year down in San Francisco, see my family, bring back my card collection, and we're just going to have fun over the next 2 months. Just collecting and doing stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one, and look out for all this stuff coming up. All right, peace out. Talk to you later.